Welcome to ZakDTV, the place for interesting news from around the net. In today's episode, we are going to look at a company with a viable plan to mine asteroids, Lockheed Martin's plans for Mars, and a message from the Vice President that sounds great for the future of our space exploration. And if you want more interesting news like this 5 days a week, click the subscribe button. It's over here, so you know when I upload something new. Alright, let's get into this. Let's start right off with the most amazing photo I found this week. This is the Calabash Nebula. It is a beautiful image with a very violent backstory. This image was taken by the Hubble Space Telescope, and it captured this star going from a red giant into a planetary nebula. That's right, we are seeing a star like our sun explode. It is pretty amazing to catch something like this in action, because relatively speaking, it is a blink of an eye for our universe. And scientists have stated that over the next 1,000 years, this will probably settle away from being sort of a star shape with gas blowing out from it and turn into a true nebula. And one more thing before we get into the stories I want to cover today. Elon Musk did have this big thing last week. I'm sure you guys kind of expected me to cover it, but I will not be. The reason for this is it has been saturated in the media. And if you want to check it out, if you haven't looked at what he said before today, go ahead. I'll put a link in the description down below, and you can link right to his talk. It is some pretty amazing stuff, and probably the coolest part is the BFR that we're looking at getting. And now enough of that, let's jump into some current news. A new company called TransAstra is looking to mine asteroids using optical mining techniques. That's right, they want to use a light drill. This, to me, is the coolest part about it. This new technology focuses the light from the sun, similar to the way you see light focused on a solar thermal plant. So here's how it's going to work. First thing first, of course, you send out satellites to find your target rocks, your target asteroids. The second step then is to send your mining satellite out and actually put the asteroid in a bag. That's right, they want to put it sort of in like a sack or a net to hold it next to the satellite. This satellite will then spin to face its reflectors at the sun. This is when it gets neat. The beams of the sun come in, are reflected back up into a focusing mirror, and then into the bag with the asteroid. What this does is it causes the asteroid to heat up. Because of the difference in temperature between the very, very cold asteroid, what is space, negative 270 degrees, and the heat of the sun, it will actually cause the asteroid to start fracturing. This process works similar to the way that objects entering our atmosphere blow apart because of the difference in temperatures between the outside and the inside. This company does have a test laboratory on the ground, and they are working with NASA to build a prototype that they could send into space. They are in early rounds of testing, though, so I wouldn't expect to hear anything about this anytime soon. To me, this is probably the best asteroid mining scheme that I've heard of, because they also plan on doing this not as a way to get a corporation rich back here on the planet, but as a way to provide raw materials for our interplanetary space travel. That way we could produce the materials we need in space instead of trying to launch them into space on a rocket. I love seeing people think outside the box. Next up, I want to talk about something that Lockheed Martin announced last week at the International Astronomical Congress. I did it that time. You guys don't even know how many times I messed that up. And that is their Mars base camp. Seems like everybody wants to go to Mars now. Lockheed Martin, though, wants to put an orbiting space station around the red planet. They plan on this station having room for 4 astronauts, and then from orbit around Mars, these astronauts would be able to take trips down to the surface using one of Lockheed's Mars landers. These would provide propulsion landing and, of course, the thrust ability to get back up into orbit and back to the space station. It seems like the biggest part of this is going to be the Orion crew capsule, which Lockheed Martin has been working with, and it seems like this whole base will be able to attach to that capsule. It seems to me like the plan is to build this up in space, launch the rocket up with the Orion capsule and our astronauts on it, attach that, I don't know where they'll meet it, around the moon, above Earth, something like that, and then fly the whole setup over to Mars. I feel like this is kind of something out of The Martian, maybe. It sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it? And yes, in this time of everybody wanting to get to Mars, this one excites me. And the reason for that is they're using existing technologies. Unlike the stuff Elon Musk wants to do, which he has to build new technologies to make happen, which I'm all for, this one looks like they can start on it right now. And finally, I want to make note of a noteworthy piece of op-ed that was put out by Mike Pence. For those of you who don't know, he is our vice president. I know Trump's the one in the news all the time, but this is our second in command. In it, he details the United States plans to get back to the moon and Mars. My favorite quote from it is this: "We will refocus America's space program toward human exploration and discovery. That means launching American astronauts beyond low Earth orbit for the first time since 1972. It means establishing a renewed American presence on the moon, a vital strategic goal. And from the foundation of the moon, America will be the first nation to bring mankind to Mars." But Pence's quote shows that America has the same resolve to explore our solar system as we did back before we ended up on the moon. Now let's just hope we can make good on Mike Pence's. So what do you think? Which one of these stories was the most interesting to you? Which one do you think will affect the future of our space travel the most? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. It would really help my channel grow. I do this 5 days a week, that's Monday through Friday, so I hope to see you here again. And until next time, have fun and be safe.